folks, I'm back. It's me, Mahbub Chowdhury, aka the People's Coach, aka your host and speaker for today and your role model for the whole of your entire life. People, check this out. Today, I want to talk to you guys about relationship disputes. Some of the things I've talked about in my previous videos before, but I want to highlight a few things, a few new learnings that I've got from my own personal relationship, and I want to share these experiences and insights with you, and hopefully, just hopefully, it may improve the quality of your relationship, or it may just bring a few things to your attention. Now, check this out, people. Without a doubt, there's always going to be disputes between you and your spouse at some point. 1 minute you know the relationship is all blessed, it's all good, and all of a sudden it takes a turn. The turn for the worst, turn for the bad. What do you do in these challenging and conflicting situations when both spouses have disagreements? How do you come together? How do you gel together? And how do you work together? How do you work things out? The most easiest thing. Now check this out, people. Me and my wife, sorry, I'm kind of sidetracking here, but it's very important that you pay attention to what I'm about to say. Now, me and my wife had a dispute. We had our little differences. Now what happened is, this little thing dragged on. And it could have been resolved just like that. But no. Do you know what got in the way? Stubbornness. Yes, that's right, people. Stubbornness gets in the way of many, many things. Especially if you leave a little thing for too long. Do you know what happens? Things start to boil up. Things start to sizzle up. It gets a bit fizzy in the relationship. Now what happens when you leave things for a period? You start conjuring up negative thoughts towards your spouse because things are left unsaid, unspoken, and not sorted out. You start having dialogues with yourself, negative dialogues. You start looking for so many different faults with your spouse. And what happens when you start speaking? It's very difficult to communicate because both spouses are very... Son, be careful. My son is training in the background. That's why you hear that banging noise. I do apologize for the sudden interruptions, but we must continue with the show. Now, as I was saying, the relationship becomes very sensitive. Because when you start to communicate, all of a sudden, the tone becomes more harsher towards one another. Because of the fact that things have been left unspoken. It's not been communicated. It's not been dealt with ASAP. Me and my wife had a taste of this. And we had to nip things in the bud. Because we left a small issue for about a day or so, and all of a sudden that we start to feel a negative towards one another. Things start to boil up inside our heads. And we had a taste of these types of relationships where things get brushed underneath the carpet, and you know what builds up? Resentment, hatred through time, because of the fact that the issue weren't nipped in the bud. Never ever leave things too late. Don't let it boil up. And it's usually small collective things through time that cause a big rift in the relationship. And you don't want that. What you want to do, like I've said before, and I need to emphasize and bring it to your attention, nip it in the bud. Because the more you have practice of nipping things in the bud, it gets more easier to apologize, it gets more easier to move on, it gets more easier to communicate and understand one another. And that's what it is, people. You have to express yourself. Sometimes the hardest thing is saying what's on your mind because you're scared that you might offend the person. And when you offend the person, they might take it the wrong way and things just get out of hand. They blow up. You have a heated buster. But you need to keep on trying. You need to keep on communicating. Even if you fail to articulate your message, look for different ways, look for different timings. Maybe you're trying to communicate a message when your partner's upset. Now's not the right time to speak. Then look for a time when they're more calmer, when they're more relaxed. You go away if you've got a lot of tension. You go away and try and relax yourself and then come back and speak in a calm way. Reason nicely. That's what it's about, people. So, back to my situation with my wife. So what happened is we had a little taste of what it feels like to keep things inside us, not to deal with things ASAP. And it wasn't very nice. And it got brought to our attention, both our attention, to come together to work things out and sort it out. And we told ourselves, both of us, each other, one another, that let's not leave things for too long. Because it only makes the situation harder to communicate and it makes the situation worse. That's what I'm saying, people. Work things out ASAP, because by doing this, you're learning communication skills. Skills of connection, skills of communicating, relating. In your relationship, you have to do this. And you know what? It's not going to be easy, because sometimes you have to face rejection. Sometimes the other spouse might not want to listen, but you have to keep on trying, because eventually, if you keep on trying, you're doing two things. You're proving your self-worth, which is one, because you're made of iron. You don't care if you get rejected, then you still got to keep on trying. That's your self-worth. And two, you're proving yourself that you care about this person enough to chase them and to keep on trying. So therefore, eventually, the spouse has no option but to back down. That's what I'm talking about, people. You have to chase, you have to keep on trying. And do not wait for the other person to make the first move. Do not wait for an apology. You have to start the communication, whether you like it or not. You have to man up. Be responsible and accountable and take the lead. People, make it easy for one another to talk to one another. That's what it's about. As soon as your partner opens their mouth, don't have a go at them. Don't pound them down, because when you do this, they're never going to be able to speak to you. They're never going to be able to turn to you again. So what happens? You end up bottling up a lot of feelings inside you, and that's what creates hatred and resentment, and all of a sudden you can't even stand the sight of one another. You can't even stand hearing one another. You can't even stand being around each other. Let's not allow the relationship to escalate to that degree. People, that's all I have to say. I hope these are just some of the things that have been useful and been brought to your attention. So, that's all I have to say. Until then, keep tuning in for more up-and-coming materials. People, you know what I'm going to say. Here's the line, here it comes. Until then, take care, stay strong, stay focused, and always live to learn to empower and inspire the lives of many, as well as yourself. Bye for now.